Every year there's this huge festival that celebrates the return of a king from the underworld. But here's the thing, this wasn't just any king. He was an asura, what many would call a demon, but he was so virtuous, so beloved, that a god himself had to step in. So how on earth did that happen? Let's dive into this incredible legend. So right off the bat, we're dealing with this massive paradox. How does a king from the Asura lineage, the sworn enemies of the gods, end up being worshipped? It's a puzzle, really, that gets to the very heart of what things like dharma, devotion, and sacrifice truly mean. And look, this isn't just some dusty old myth we're talking about. The festival of Onam, which is celebrated with so much joy today, is all about this one king, Mahabali. So why? Why do millions still honor him? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go back way, way back. See, Mahabali wasn't just some random figure. His story is deep-rooted in this epic celestial family drama, a struggle between two cosmic forces. And the key to who he was? It's actually hidden right there in his family tree. Okay, so what's really wild is that the Devas and the Asuras weren't totally separate beings. They were basically half-brothers. They both came from the great sage Kashyap, just from two different wives. You had the Devas from Aditi, who were all about divine order and light. And then you had the Asuras from Diti, who embodied raw power and ambition. This shared bloodline made their whole conflict feel like a family feud on a cosmic scale. And this is the key to understanding Mahabali. He wasn't your typical Asura. Get this, his grandfather was the legendary Prahlada, an Asura prince who was one of Lord Vishnu's greatest devotees ever. He ruled with total justice and peace. That legacy of goodness passed down to his son Varachna, and then, you guessed it, to Mahabali. So right from the start, Mahabali had this deep sense of righteousness in his blood. So with this incredible lineage, Mahabali rises to power. But his story isn't just about winning battles. He built his empire on something way more powerful, his amazing character as a king. So here's the thing you've got to understand about him. Yeah, he was a brilliant warrior, but his real strength was his generosity. I mean, he was so charitable that nobody ever left his court without getting what they needed. His rule was this golden age of prosperity. They even called him the king of farmers. He led with justice, with dharma, with compassion. And he created a world that was so fair it actually started to outshine the heavens. So he gets this, an invincible divine chariot from his guru. And with it, Mahabali does the unthinkable. He takes on the Devas, defeats their king Indra, and becomes the supreme emperor of all three worlds. I mean, the entire cosmic balance is flipped on its head, and Asura was now in charge of everything. Okay, so the Devas are defeated, heaven is lost, and the gods are basically in exile. A cosmic imbalance like that, well, it couldn't last. It was time for a divine intervention, one that was perfectly designed to test Mahabali's greatest strength. You can imagine their mother, Aditi, was just heartbroken seeing her son suffering like that. So she begins this intense period of penance, praying with everything she has to Lord Vishnu to please restore the balance. Her devotion was so powerful, it reached the highest heavens. And her prayers were answered. Lord Vishnu agrees to be born as her son, taking on his fifth incarnation, his fifth avatar, Vamana. He shows up as a small Brahmin boy, a dwarf, looking totally humble and harmless, but just radiating this divine energy. His mission was set. All right, this is it. This is where the story hits its absolute climax. The stage is set for a showdown, not of swords and shields, but of principles. Mahabali's defining trait, his boundless generosity, is about to be put to the ultimate test. So picture this. Mahabali is performing his 100th and final great horse sacrifice, a huge ritual meant to seal his status as emperor of the three worlds. This was a massive deal, a massive event, and right in the middle of it all, in walks this little Brahmin boy, Vamana. Mahabali, being the generous king he is, offers the boy anything he wants: gold, palaces, entire kingdoms, you name it. But what Vamana asked for was, almost laughably small. He just wanted 3 paces of land, as much as he could cover in his own tiny steps. Now, Mahabali probably thought this was kind of cute, right? But his guru, the wise Shukracharya, he saw right through it. He knew it was Lord Vishnu in disguise, and he desperately tries to warn his king, "Don't do it. This is a trick. If you agree to this, you will lose everything." And this right here is the moment that seals Mahabali's legend. He basically says, if this really is the Lord asking me for something, what greater honor could there be? To turn him away would be a sin. A promise is a promise. He refused to go back on his word, no matter what it cost him. And as soon as that promise is made official, all bets are off. The little dwarf Vamana starts to transform. He grows and keeps growing into this colossal cosmic being that fills the entire universe. Everyone just stood there, completely stunned as he revealed his true divine form. With his very first step, Vamana covers the whole earth. Boom. Gone. With his second step, he strides across the heavens and the entire sky. Just like that, in 2 steps, everything Mahabali ruled, all 3 worlds, was gone. Claimed. Vamana then turns to the king and asks this impossible question. I've covered all your domains. You promised me 3 steps. Where do I put my third? I mean, there was literally nowhere left in the entire cosmos for him to step. And this is Mahabali's greatest moment. Faced with breaking his word, he does the only thing a man of his integrity could do. He bows down before the massive cosmic form of Vishnu and offers the only thing he had left, himself. He tells Vamana to place that final 3rd step right on his head. Now, this ultimate act of surrender wasn't a defeat, not at all. It was a triumph of character so profound that it earned Mahabali an eternal reward, and it gave birth to a tradition that is still celebrated today. Lord Vishnu was so incredibly moved by Mahabali's unshakable honor that he didn't crush him. He blessed him. He granted him eternal glory, made him the ruler of the prosperous netherworld, and even promised to personally stand guard at the gate of his new kingdom. And then he gave Mahabali one last wish. And what was that wish? It was to be allowed to come back to Earth just once a year, to visit his people and make sure they were still happy and thriving. And that annual visit, that's exactly what Onam is all about. The incredible feasts, the flowers, all the celebration, it's all to welcome their beloved king home. So that brings us full circle, doesn't it? Mahabali lost his entire kingdom, but in return, he gained eternal glory and the love of millions for all time. It leaves us with one final thought. Was this truly his defeat, or was it the ultimate triumph of his character?